Alright, so in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make the Gunna DS4 album cover. How to make your own version basically. Alright, so first of all you're going to need your own image. This is me right here. I'm going to use this, you know, I've got the jewels on, you know what I'm saying. Then you want to put that into Photoshop if you have Photoshop. So what I'm doing here is I'm using the selection tool, quick selection, which is W on the keyboard for the shortcut. And then you go to select inverse and then rub out the background. So that is step one. And then you want to go to image adjustments, black and white. Change that to black and white. Up here you've got different sort of presets. You can make it darker, lighter. I'm going to stick with lighter because I feel like it matches the original album cover a bit more. So now I'm just going to color in the background just to make it a bit more like easier for me to see what I'm doing and to see where the edge is. So next you want to select the clone tool, which is S on the keyboard. And then we're going to cover up the eyes and any facial hair on your picture. So you click Alt on the keyboard and then you click the area you want to take like a sample from. And then you fill in the other area with that sample, if you know what I mean. Alright, so after this you want to go to filter, go down to raw camera filter, as you can see here. Then you need to go to, what tool am I looking for in here? I think it's go into detail and then move the noise reduction to, so I'm going to move it all the way to 100 to get like that smooth statue effect. I'm just playing around with the sharpening to see what that does. I don't think I need that. And then I'm going to click OK. So that's how you get the smooth sort of stone effect to begin with. Now we're just going to build on layering this. So you know what I mean, in comparison, you can see how smooth Gunna's one is, and then we're basically gonna try and get it looking like that. So boom, I've just duplicated that layer, as you can see on the right, just so we have one we're editing, and then one that we can go back to, you know what I mean, if anything goes wrong. To make a selection on the image, basically you need to click Command on your keyboard. If you're on Windows, it'll be the Windows key, and then click on the image on that layer and it will just select the whole image. And then you want to go to the magic wand tool and then go up here. I believe it's called mask. There's like a mask tool up there. My bad, it's like cut out at the top because of how I was recording, but it's mask tool. Then you want to go in here, go all the way down to on layers, click on that. Is anything else in here? Okay, just go to global references, turn up the smoothness. These are my settings here, so feel free to pause after I finish this and copy the exact same settings if you want. After you've done that, click OK. I can never find my tools in this Photoshop, so I'm going to type it up here. Next, you want the smudge tool. So we're just going to smudge like any areas which we want to smooth out a bit more. So for example, like any dark patches, we just want everything to like blend and smooth the same. Obviously black don't crack, so there's not much I need to do. I'm just going to take out this little spot here. You dig? And then you want to go to image adjustment, turn the contrast all the way down to 0. Brightness you can play around with. I just left it the same. So that is that step. Next, we're gonna go to Google and type in statue face. So what we're looking for here is the eyes on a statue. to sort of like cut out and then paste over mine, you know what I mean, to make it look more like a statue. So once you found that, drag that into Photoshop, loosely go around it. You want to cut that out, drag that in, put it in position basically, and then we're going to blend it more to the overall image. So I even reopened the old layer with the original image just to make sure it lines up properly. Change the transparency, which is in the right hand side above layers. It's called opacity. All right, boom. So that pretty much lines up, I think. Wait, let me move it around a bit more. Command J on the keyboard to duplicate. Now we're going to do the right hand side, flip it horizontally. To do that, you go up to this W up here and you click minus whatever number is in there. You can type in minus 100. That will flip it horizontally. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to position this eye, make sure it's in the right place. Merge both of the eyes together. So go to the two layers where the eyes were and click Command E, and that will merge both layers together. Now we're going to do the exact same thing we did in the beginning. We're going to go to Image, Adjustments, Brightness and Contrast. We're going to turn the contrast all the way down to 0. And then we're going to play around with the brightness until it like matches what we have already. So it's probably around here. Click OK. Next, we're going to go to Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation. We're going to turn the saturation all the way down to 0. And this is what we're going to do on everything we import into this basically. We're going to do the same process. All right, then we're going to go to the eraser tool. You want to turn the opacity down to maybe around 30. So we've got a smooth rubber. And you probably want to turn the hardness down as well, all the way to 0. And then we're just going to go around these eyes that we've cut out and gradually just rub out the edges we don't need. Cool, and that's what we have so far. I think that looks kind of cool. Next, we're going to go back into Google and we're going to search for statue hair. So we're going to do the exact same thing we did for the eyes. We're going to do with the hair. So I've typed in statue hair. I even typed in like statue with afro, obviously, you know, because we got that melanin hair. You know what I'm saying? It hits different, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie though, I couldn't really find much on this search. So I had to just go to like a general search like statue hair and find something that matched. So this is all the images I found with hair, and I'm just gonna go through and just see which one's gonna like fit me best. It's probably gonna be this guy here, yeah. So we'll drag the image you like into Photoshop. Exact same thing. We're gonna use the pen tool. Oh wait, first let's get rid of the background. Okay. Same quick selection tool, inverse, rub out background. Now we're gonna go around the hair loosely with the pen tool to cut this out and drag onto our original edit.
I shape it around the applause and crowd about more. Never get stripped by the end of the day, cause why indoors bow. I had to.
Alright, boom. So we're gonna drag that on, turn the opacity down in the bottom right above the layers. And now I'm just obviously matching it to my head and then seeing where the hairline sort of fits in. So like we've done with everything else, like I said, we're gonna repeat the same process. You wanna go to Image, Adjustments, Brightness and Contrast. You wanna turn the contrast all the way down to 0 or minus 50. And brightness, play around with it until it sort of matches what your original image is. Again, go to Image, Adjustments, Hue, Saturation, turn the saturation all the way to 0. Click OK. I'm gonna play around with the brightness again. I think it's too bright. Yeah, I think that works. Turn this down a bit. Click OK on that. And then next, I'm just gonna lower the opacity so I can see the image behind and I can see where the hairline is. So then I'm gonna go to the eraser tool and rub it out all the way up to the hairline basically. So that's exactly what I'm doing right here.
Cause why indoors bow? I had to allow it, screwed up face cause I felt the sour.
So I actually made my brush harder just so this would be quicker. Then I'm gonna turn the opacity back up. I can already see this. Rub that out, and then I'm gonna go on the edges with a softer brush basically.
I just want a caddy. I just want record. Part of my calendar, I'm gonna ride the records. Somebody find me a medic. Or in the psychedelics, find me a penny.
All right, it's looking sturdy. It's looking sturdy, huh? Yeah, it's looking sturdy. I think that looks cool, man. So now we've blended the hair into the skin. We're gonna go to the burn tool. So again, I've gone up to the search bar that you have in the top of Photoshop, because for some reason I can never find the tools in my Photoshop in 2021. So you could either do the same, go to the burn tool, and this just like picks out parts to make them darker, if you know what I mean. So in the hair, I know there's some like darker parts in the original image. So let's turn the exposure down so it's less harsh, and probably the hardness too. I'm clicking in and out of the original image to see where the darker parts of the hair are. I'm still on the same layer, but the opacity is turned down, and then I'm just copying what was in the original image. So there you go. That's how it looks on the original layer. Makes it look slightly more realistic, but it's still like stone, you know what I mean? The next tool we're gonna need is the spot healing tool. And again, this is just to take out any little imperfections. I'm just experimenting here to see what it does. So, you know, it's just to take out the natural skin dark parts you get. Once we take those out, the more it looks like stone, because obviously stone is more like carved smoothly and blah, blah, blah. So basically, if you want to get like Gunna's sort of vibe, his one is like quite bright. His one is probably like, it's probably almost like that, to be honest. And then the stone here has got like a bluey tint, whereas this is just like a stone. This has got a blue tint on it. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna leave that. Cancel. All right, cool. So next, back into Google, and we're gonna search for stone texture. So we're gonna overlay this. I had to go through quite a lot to find a decent one. So this is what I found in the end. So drag that into Photoshop, position it over where you want the texture to appear, which is pretty much everywhere. You want it to, if you got a shirt on, but you know, mainly the face, I guess. So position that where you want it, then go down here, change this to multiply, and it's gonna give you like a transparent, there you go, a transparent look. So that looks pretty cool. Of course, now we gotta get rid of the parts we don't want. So we're gonna do exactly what we did before. We don't really need it in the hair, so yeah. So we're gonna go to the layer before that we've been editing, Command, and then click on the image in that layer. That's gonna give us the selection that we need of just the body itself. Cool. And then we're gonna go Command Inverse, that's Command Shift I to select the outside. And then we're gonna delete the outside. And that's just gonna give us texture on the image itself. So this looks cool, but it still needs work. Go to filter. We're gonna go back into camera raw filter. And then we're gonna look for a feature called dehaze. I believe it's in basic. remain in basic, go all the way down to the bottom. We're gonna turn this up, probably not so much. It basically just adds detail to the texture. So I'll probably leave this around like maybe 16, even 30, 38. So that just adds that bit more texture, which looks quite cool. But you know what, let me quickly switch the texture because I'm not really liking this texture so much. And then if you remember what we did before, adjustments, hue saturation, turn the saturation to 0. And then we make the selection. What the heck am I doing, man? And rub out the outsides just like we did on the last one. All right, so this texture is a lot better. It gives like a smooth statue vibe. After this, again, we're gonna go to filter, camera raw filter, stay in the basic, go all the way down, move the dehaze to probably around 30. That's how I'm doing it. You can make it more or, you know, less. I'm gonna do it around here. Cool, so there's more detail in there. Unfortunately, I've got like these watermark logos in here, but that doesn't matter. I'm gonna get rid of those. This is just to show you guys how to make the statue effect. So I'm actually gonna reduce the size of the image just so we can get more detail, because as you know, the smaller you make the image in Photoshop, if it's a really high res image, you'll get a lot more detail packed into that area. So that's just what I'm doing here. And then I'll probably do it again for the neck afterwards. So you wanna go filter, creative camera raw filter. This is what we just done, dehaze. All right, now you wanna go to the rubber tool, make sure the opacity is low again and the hardness is at the least. Then you just wanna rub out the parts you don't need. So mainly like the nose, lips, chin, all the areas that would be like naturally smooth, like in real life. Okay, cool. So the old texture, I do like it on the t-shirt, but as you can see, it's a bit too rough for the vibe we're going for. So I'm gonna change this and do exactly the same that we just did on the face. So now we're gonna search statue eyebrow, just to get the facial hair in. I'm just gonna save a bunch of these to have like different ones that we can use. So these are all the ones I got off Google. So I'm probably gonna use this one here. Open that in Photoshop, loosely go around that. It's the same process we did for the hair. Position that where you want it positioned. Make sure that all lines up. Then you want to merge the two eyebrow layers. Then go to image adjustment, hue saturation, turn the saturation all the way down, just like we did for everything else. Then image adjustment, brightness, contrast to 0, and then move the brightness to match the rest of the image. And then again, you come back in with a rubber, hardness all the way down to 0, opacity probably around 30. And then you just want to work around those edges until it blends into the original image.
This I know, I don't wanna wait for the same. I pay the price, yeah. Can't cry, it's not that far away.
Right, cool. That looked kind of hard. And then I'm also gonna try and put like a goatee in there. So I'm gonna go back through these and see which one would match the best. Probably this guy here. Open that in Photoshop. Exact same process. We're gonna loosely go around what we need, cut that out, drag it onto our original image. Image, adjustments, hue saturation, saturation to 0. Adjustments, brightness, contrast to 0. Mess around with the brightness. and then back in with the rubber and then rub around the edges to make it blend slightly more. Save that, and then we want to go to the sharpen tool. Just type that in at the top, and then this basically just brings out the detail of the stone. Boom. So that's what the sharpen tool does. It just brings out the details more if you want to do that. So I'm just going to roughly use it around certain areas, mainly on the cracks, so they like stand out more. Cool, and this is what we got so far. So just gonna compare it again to the Gunna's one. I was thinking about rats. I knew that I need to know, yeah. I'm just gonna get the color of the background from this original image. So that's Alt, click on the color, back to the background layer, brush tool, and then just color that in. And then I'm using the burn tool, which is O on the keyboard for a shortcut, just to burn the outside to give it more of like that atmospheric effect. So you like focus in on the statue. So the last thing is the dents in Gunna's face. He's got like all these cracks going on. So the last image we're gonna search is dent in statue, crack in statue, all type of stuff. Long story short, I couldn't find anything. I remember I had this image on my phone, so I'm just gonna email this to myself and use this. So we're gonna do the exact same thing, loosely go around the outside of the crack, cut that out and paste it over the original image. And then just position this where you want it positioned. Kind of gonna use this image as a reference on where to put these. And then again, image, adjustments, saturation, all the way to 0. Image, adjustments, brightness, contrast to 0, mess around with the brightness to match. Stuffed in the bag. Again, eraser, make sure hardness is all the way on 0, opacity on 30, and then start rubbing out the rough edge on this to make it blend more. Command J to duplicate that and just position it in as many places as you want. You can even rub some parts out like I'm doing here. Even turn the opacity down to see behind it. Rub this out over the chain. Tunnel vision, it's turning me red, but it's bugging my vision. I'm stuck here and I can't do the dash. We start low. Tell me something I don't know. Rock your boat. I'm a rocket boat, I'm rocking your boat. Yeah. Bitch down, got a pink Moscato stuffed in the bag. Yo, Nick, wait. Now you want to go back to the burn tool, which is O on the keyboard, and just burn inside of the cracks to make them darker, to look more like 3D and like indented. Cool, then you want to right click on any layer, right click, go down to flatten, and that's going to join all the layers together. And that's pretty much it done. One more filter, camera raw filter, go down to dehaze, and you can increase the detail. You can even zoom in here to see what it's doing better. So move up dehaze, that's going to increase the effect. Probably put that around 14, okay. All right, so that's pretty much a wrap. How to statue yourself, AKA how to make the Gunna DS4 album cover. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'm gonna see you in the next video.
Tu verras dans qui passe et mon carrera.